Hello everyone, it's Steve from Financial Python, and I wanted to make another technical analysis video where we go over how to plot Bollinger Bands. For those that are not familiar, Bollinger Bands, they're a technical analysis tool that basically they're used by traders and investors to analyze price volatility and look for overbought and oversold conditions, and with the idea being as we get outside of the Bollinger Bands or close to the edge of a band, you can potentially expect some sort of reversal to the mean. So let's go through how to do that. You know what, like real quick, for those of you who don't know, so we have just a picture where we see, 20 period SMA, which is going to be the middle, the simple moving average, a lower band and an upper band. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. Maybe I'll open that. Just so we can see, what that looks like. And again, we're going to go through how to build that, but the idea being that as we approach the upper band, where you would expect some sort of pullback to the mean, or if we approach the lower band or go outside of the lower band, we can that might indicate that the stock is oversold, and again, we could expect some sort of pullback to the middle. So again, let's go through how we're going to do that. So the first thing we're going to do, real simple, is import Y Finance. So the first thing we always do is actually pull down our stock data. So we'll import Y Finance, and then we'll get, what should we use? Let's use Tesla this time. We'll pull down some Tesla stock data. So we'll say YF.ticker, and we'll pull down Tesla, and then we'll get the stock data from Tesla.history. We'll do a period of 1 year and an interval of 1 day. Okay, so let's pull that down and let's just print the data so we know that we have it. Maybe. Okay. All right, that looks good. We have an open, high, low, and close. We're really just going to use close because, again, we just need the price. So Bollinger Bands are calculated just based on the price. So the first calculation, again, going back, is we need the 20 period SMA. And I've done some other videos on how to calculate SMA, so I'm not going to spend too much time talking about that. But I'm just going to say, basically, we're going to add another column to the data frame called SMA, and we're going to set that equal to the close and a rolling window of closed prices. Again, 20 period. I believe you can do it. There might be reasons to do different periods, but 20 is pretty much the standard here. And then we're going to take the mean of that, and that's going to give us the SMA. So, if we calculate that and look at our data again, you see, obviously, for the first couple of periods, we do not have a 20 period rolling average because, again, there's only been one period here. But as we get into the later values, you can see the SMA appear. So, yeah, that's the first thing we need is that SMA. And then from there, the next thing we need to do to calculate the Bollinger Bands is calculate the standard deviation. So when we're calculating Bollinger Bands, if we want to see basically how those are calculated, you see we have the middle band, which is going to be the simple moving average. Then we have the upper band, which is the sum of the 20 period moving average and 2 times the 20 period standard deviation of the closing prices. And we'll talk about that. And the lower band is going to be the SMA minus 20 times the standard deviation. So for those that don't know what standard deviation is, I'm not going to go too far into that, but basically it's a measure of the dispersion of values, so how far away they're getting from the mean. And luckily, to calculate that, Pandas, we don't really have to do much. I mean, we saw we're using this Pandas mean function, but Pandas, which is what this data frame is, that's the library it comes from, is from Pandas. They also have a standard deviation function, as you can see here. So that's not something we're going to have to calculate by ourselves. That's something that Pandas has for us. So let's calculate that. We'll have an SD column, which is going to stand for standard deviation. And again, that's going to be, we're going to basically set it to the same thing. I could set it to the SMA, but I'm, basically just going to set it to the 20 period rolling value and take the standard deviation there. So that's the first thing to calculate again. So Bollinger Bands are the sum of the 20 period. Let me, I'm just going to just paste in some details here just so we can kind of understand what these bands are. Again, the middle band is just going to be the 20 period SMA. The upper band is we're going to take that 20 period SMA value and we're going to add that to 2 times the 20 period standard deviation, and the lower band we're going to take the SMA and subtract 2 times the 20 period standard deviation. So this is just calculating the 20 period standard deviation. So that's how we do this here. So this is the 20 period standard deviation. That's what we're seeing. And again, we need to calculate an upper band, and we need to calculate a lower band. I'm just using UB and LB just to simplify. But again, the formula is going to be, we're going to take the moving average, the 20 period, which we have calculated in this SMA column. And we're going to set that, we're going to add, well, we could put this in parentheses so you understand, 2 times the standard deviation. And then for the lower band, we're just going to subtract 2 times the standard deviation. So let's run those, make sure these formulas look good. Okay, if I print out my data table one more time, same thing. We don't have values in the beginning, but we get some values here. That's great. As you can see, the SMA is in the middle of the upper band and the lower band, which is exactly where it should be, so that's good. So yeah, again, we need an upper band, a lower band, which we have, and now we can plot this. And you know what? I'm actually going to just paste in the code to plot because it's a lot of code, and I feel like I'm going to waste time just having you guys watch. So let me paste it in. I'll fast forward, and then I'll explain what the code is doing. Okay, so I have that pasted. So as you can see, so what we're going to do to view this chart is use Plotly. As you can see here, I'm using Plotly Graph Objects library as Go. Plotly, if you guys aren't familiar, it's a very popular Python plotting or charting library. I'm not going to go too much into detail, but it's one that I prefer in these cases, so I'm going to use that. And then what we have here is adding the price line to the chart, we'll say. So basically, we want to plot the price on the chart, obviously, right? So we're gonna, they have this add trace method that lets us put a scatter. So it's basically an object of type scatter, but instead of like a scatter plot, you can pass in a mode. As you can see here, like the mode is going to be lines. So that's saying like, take this scatter plot that we're doing and put it into line form. The name of that is going to be price. That's going to be for our key. And what's going to be on the x-axis is going to be the data, like the index, the index essentially. So again, this is going to have an index with the different dates. That's fine. And then the price, which we're using close in this case, is going to be on the y-axis chart along. So we have that for the upper, and we have that for the price, and then we want to add essentially the upper band and the lower band, which we're doing here. And as you can see, because again, like a lot of times looking at Bollinger Bands, you see it's shaded, from the lower band to the upper band, there's shade. So I wanted to incorporate that as well, so you can see with the lower band, the upper band, we're just basically making a line. We're making it a specific color. In this case, we're making it red. But the lower band, you see, we're providing a fill, and what that's doing is going to fill the chart from the lower band to the upper band, which we'll see. And then we're plotting the SMA. As you can see here, that's going to be just our middle line. So that's what we have. Again, if I go back to my chart, you see the 20 period. I mean, this is charting in candlesticks, but you see we have the 20 period SMA on the chart as well as the upper and lower band. And then this is just some housekeeping, printing the chart details. We have a title and what's on the x-axis, what's on the right axis, what those labels will be. and whether or not we want to show a legend. And this fig.show is what's actually going to print the chart. Let's run that. Okay, so Tesla stock price was Bollinger Bands. Obviously, in the beginning, we didn't have the, and what I could do is just cut those. I could just remove the areas from the data frame that don't have a, that don't have these values filled in. Let me do that real quick. So to do that, we're just going to call the drop NA method. So let me I'll just do that up here. Data equals data drop NA. You know what? I'm not going to do it up here actually. I'm going to, because I would want it to be after this stuff is calculated. So let me do it here. Okay, and let's run this one more time. Okay, and we see those rows aren't here, so that's good. And let's run this one more time. Okay, so now we don't have the beginning, which, I mean, we don't need at this point. So, yeah, so what are we seeing? We're seeing a lower band in green, as you can see with the shading. We're seeing a price, which is the same color as the middle Bollinger Band. I probably should address that a little bit. Hold on. So let me, I don't know. I'm going to make this purple, because I don't feel like doing anything else. Okay, so we see that is purple, and we're seeing the price come through, whereas the SMA line is here. Just I just wanted to show a little bit of separation between those two. Yeah, so as you can see, again, the Bollinger Band, the idea being as we get closer and closer to the upper band, you expect a little bit of a pullback to the mean, which is kind of what we're seeing. As we ride this upper band here, eventually the price does drop, get back to the middle. As we, get back to the upper bands here, eventually the price does drop, get back to the lowers, and, eventually we start coming up and, touching that middle line again. So, again, the idea with Bollinger Bands is that they can help identify overbought and oversold conditions. But how you use them, that's up to you. I really just wanted to show you guys how you can plot them. So hope you learned something. Appreciate you sticking with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.